I'm Riley Morgan, and last night I sat in a room dripping with chandeliers and old family portraits, while my own blood laughed about squeezing higher rent out of a downtown apartment complex without the faintest clue that I'm the one cashing their checks. Tomorrow, they're going to find out who's really been in charge of the Morgan legacy all along. And trust me, it's not them. The Morgan estate sits high on a ridge above San Francisco, perched like a queen surveying her city. From the outside, it's flawless Spanish-style arches, terracotta roof tiles glowing deep red under the sunset palm trees swaying in the breeze. But inside it's all sharp glances, polite venom, and the soft rustle of designer silk. I stand near the grand staircase, my fingers wrapped around a glass of sparkling water gone flat. Laughter echoes around me. A particular kind of laughter I know all too well, the kind that tests whether you're worthy of belonging or just a footnote. My cousins pose in little circles, flashing teeth as white as marble, speaking in a strange dialect of brand names and luxury destinations. Carter waves his hand as he brags about his new Porsche Taycan. Savannah's voice floats across the room, silky and insistent, dropping names of artists whose paintings sell for millions. Logan's phone lights up with pictures of his new yacht purely for networking, he says, as if owning a boat the size of a city block is just business strategy. I hover at the edge, invisible as a ghost. My dress is simple navy Banana Republic 2 seasons old. My shoes are scuffed practical. My only jewelry is my mother's pearl earrings. Everywhere I look, people are decked out in custom tailoring and diamonds big enough to blind a pilot. They glance at me just long enough to register my lack of sparkle, then slide away as if my presence offends the atmosphere. I've gotten used to being the Morgan who never quite fit in. The one who didn't get a trust fund big enough to buy a ski chalet. The one who didn't marry a hedge fund manager. The one who, they assume, is barely scraping by. But the truth is, I'm not scraping by. Not even close. I'm not some pitiable cousin limping along with consulting work they can't be bothered to ask about. I'm the silent partner behind LLCs that own prime properties all over the city. I'm the landlord collecting rent from tenants who don't know my name. And in a twist that's going to blow their designer socks off, I'm the owner of the very building they're plotting to pressure into selling. My name might not appear on glossy magazines or in property headlines, but my fingerprints are all over the blueprints of this city. I've been buying low, holding steady, watching market trends the way Grandma Eleanor taught me. While my family was flashing diamonds and buying yachts, I was stacking bricks. I remember the last words Grandma said to me before she died. "Riley, quiet money is the strongest kind. It can't be stolen if no one knows it's there." And so I made sure no one knew. But now, Uncle Gregory wants to sell the mansion. The same mansion where Grandma Eleanor taught me the language of balance sheets and zoning codes. The same mansion that wrapped me in safety after my parents died, when I felt like the walls of my world had caved in. They see it as nothing but a pile of cash waiting to be unlocked and turned into luxury condos. To me, it's the only piece of my past that still feels like home, and they think I'm going to let it go. Just like that. Not a chance. I look across the room at my family people who share my blood but know nothing about my heart. And I feel my pulse steady, because I know what's coming. They've been laughing at the quiet cousin with the modest life. Tomorrow, they're going to see exactly who they've been underestimating. And this time, I won't stay silent. Morning spills gold across the polished marble floors of the Morgan Estate's grand salon, but the warmth stops at the windows. Inside, the air has the chill of a courtroom. Everyone's here, the entire Morgan clan perched in chairs arranged in a perfect semicircle. At the center stands Uncle Gregory, immaculate as ever, in a charcoal suit so sharp it could slice glass. He smiles, flashing perfect veneers, and begins his favorite performance addressing the family like he's delivering a keynote speech to Wall Street. "Family," he says, spreading his arms, "I'm pleased to share an incredible opportunity." He flicks a small remote. Behind him, an enormous screen glows to life. A digital rendering fills the wall-soaring glass towers, rooftop infinity pools, sculpted terraces dotted with olive trees. The words, "The Morgan Residences," pulse in sleek gold letters at the bottom of the image. Savannah gasps dramatically, pressing a manicured hand to her chest. "Oh my God, Uncle Gregory, it's stunning." Her voice is syrupy, but her eyes gleam like dollar signs. Logan practically leans out of his chair. "That's prime real estate. We'd own downtown." Carter laughs, tossing a pen into the air. "Help put my name on one of those penthouses. We'll call it the Carter Suite." Gregory nods, soaking up their reactions. The developers have offered $58 million for the Morgan estate. He pauses for effect. $58 million. The number seems to hang in the air like perfume. I feel my stomach tighten. Because while everyone else is imagining floor-to-ceiling windows and private elevators, all I see is Grandma Eleanor's rose garden being flattened under a wrecking ball. Gregory continues, "This is about future-proofing the family name. It's about growth. It's about ensuring the Morgan legacy remains synonymous with power, wealth, and influence." He flicks to the next slide projections bar charts, line graphs that climb like rockets. Savannah claps her hands softly. "I've been saying for years, this place is lovely, but it's so dated. A condo development would be iconic. I want to speak. I want to shout no, but I keep my lips pressed shut. Because the smart move is to let them talk. Let them show me how far they're willing to go." Aunt Camille leans forward, her voice dripping honey and condescension. "And you, Riley? What do you think of all this? Surely you can appreciate how this would elevate the family's image, and perhaps even help you branch out a bit." I manage a polite smile. "My thoughts can wait." Carter isn't having it. He leans over the table, grinning. "Oh, come on, Riley. Tell us about your big consulting projects. Maybe we'll get inspired." Savannah giggles. "Yeah, Riley. Or at least tell us how your Ford Fusion's holding up. Has it passed 200,000 miles yet?" Her laughter rings out like a silver bell, beautiful and completely hollow. Brooke shifts closer to me, murmuring under her breath, "They're sharks, ignore them." I nod, but my jaw aches from how hard I'm clenching it. Because the truth is, every one of their words slices deeper than I'd like to admit. Gregory taps the screen again. "There's a timeline here, people. Developers are offering fast-track permits. The longer we wait, the more risk we face with the market cooling." He sweeps his gaze around the room, landing on me last. "Sentimentality is lovely, but this is business. We need to vote on Monday." Savannah practically sparkles. "I can already see the influencer events we could host in those sky lounges. Think of the PR." Carter raises his coffee cup. "To the Morgan residences, and the poor fools who'll pay $8 million for a 2-bedroom. My hand curls so tightly around my water glass that I'm afraid it might shatter. Because I'm not just fighting for bricks and wood and antique paneling. I'm fighting for the only place that felt safe after my parents died. For late nights with Grandma Eleanor tracing property lines on maps spread across the dining table. For the soft hush of the rose garden outside my bedroom window where the scent of earth and petals made the grief bearable. But nobody in this room sees that. They only see profit margins. They see a chance to slap their names on luxury towers and call it a legacy." Gregory clicks off the screen and spreads his hands. "I'll circulate the deal documents. And I suggest we all remember where true wealth comes from: vision, courage, and seizing the moment." He punctuates the word courage with a look straight at me. I look back silent, because what I'm about to do will require more courage than they could possibly imagine. And unlike them, I know how to keep my cards hidden until the moment it counts. The truth is, I've been living 2 lives for over a decade. There's the Riley they see, quiet, polite, driving my old Ford Fusion, showing up to family events in clothes a few seasons behind, nodding while they talk about hedge funds and high-rise views. And then there's the real me, the version none of them has ever bothered to ask about. The night my parents died, I was 17. One moment I was texting them about dinner. The next, 2 police officers were standing in the rain on our doorstep, their faces pale, hats in their hands. I moved into the Morgan estate carrying nothing but a single suitcase and the kind of grief that lives in your bones. Grandma Eleanor was waiting for me. She sat me down in her study, surrounded by towers of old ledgers and city zoning maps rolled into tight scrolls. She looked me straight in the eyes and said, "Listen to me, Riley. This family has forgotten what real wealth is for. They think it's yachts and parties. But real wealth is invisible. It's safety. It's freedom. It's the power to build something bigger than yourself." From that moment on, she became more than my grandmother. She became my teacher, my compass. By the time I started college, Grandma had taught me how to read cash flow statements the way other kids read gossip blogs. She'd pour 2 cups of chamomile tea and slide property records across the table like sacred texts. I'd sit there with a pencil tucked behind my ear, learning how to spot patterns in property tax delinquencies, how to predict which neighborhoods were about to explode in value. I didn't have much money. My inheritance was modest. While my cousins were partying in Cabo, I was haunting public records offices, scanning microfilm for transfer deeds. My first investment was a battered duplex in a part of San Francisco no one wanted to touch. I lived in one half, rented out the other, fixed broken pipes at 2 a.m. with my own hands. When tech startups began moving into the neighborhood, values surged. I sold the duplex and used every cent to buy 2 small triplexes. I stayed quiet, because Grandma drilled one lesson into me again and again. The loudest person in the room rarely owns the room. So I kept my name out of documents. I used LLCs. I let the Morgan clan think I was struggling working some tiny consulting gig they couldn't even define. Meanwhile, I kept building. Property after property. A sliver of an office building in Dogpatch. A 6-unit building in Hayes Valley. Pieces of land near future transit corridors. All of it purchased quietly, methodically, layer by layer. My biggest move then was the SOMA building. 3 years ago, I learned that a sleek apartment complex in south of Market was quietly hitting the market. The owner was retiring, wanted a private sale. No bidding wars, no news articles. I'd been tracking that building for years, studying foot traffic rental histories, even monitoring which new restaurants were popping up nearby. I knew the tech corridor expansion would explode values within a decade. I liquidated nearly every asset I had. Grandma's old attorney, Mr. Sawyer, set up a holding company so thick with paperwork that even the city's best real estate attorneys would need weeks to unravel it. And I bought the building. $28 million. Every last dollar I'd scraped together went into that gamble. A gamble that paid off beyond anything I could have imagined. Because guess who lives there? Carter. Savannah. Logan's so-called startup incubator. My own cousins have been living in my building, paying me rent every single month. Savannah's been complaining about dust from lobby renovations I ordered. Carter gripes about unnecessary rent hikes, which I only implemented to keep pace with rising property taxes, and which are still far below market rates. Logan's proudly told me about helping small business tenants in that building, never knowing he's talking to his landlord. All these years, I let them laugh at me. I let them think I was small, because I was waiting for the right moment. Now Gregory wants to sell the Morgan estate, my grandmother's sanctuary, the only place that ever felt safe after my parents were gone. He thinks no one will stop him. He thinks I'm just Riley, quiet, harmless, invisible. But what he doesn't know is that the quietest person in the room is often the one with the most power. Morning breaks crisp and cold over San Francisco. The sky outside the Morgan estate glows pale pink, but inside the atmosphere is anything but soft. It's the second day of the family conference and the day I've been dreading all year. The long mahogany table is set like a battlefield. Leather portfolios at every seat. Fresh coffee steaming in porcelain cups stamped with the Morgan family crest. Uncle Gregory stands at the head of the table, fingers steepled eyes glinting like polished steel. Today, he says, voice rich and smooth as dark chocolate, we're reviewing individual financial contributions to the Morgan family legacy. He turns toward the big screen behind him and clicks the remote. A bar graph blazes into view, each bar color-coded and labeled with a family member's name. Savannah, Carter, Logan, Gregory himself, all towering high skyscrapers of wealth. And at the far right, a pathetic sliver of a bar labeled Riley Morgan. The silence hangs for a beat. Then Carter bursts out laughing. Oh my God, look at that, you can barely see it. Savannah covers her mouth like she's trying not to giggle. Is that real, or did the software glitch? Brooke leans closer, whispering, don't react. That's what they want. I keep my face blank. But inside I feel like I'm burning alive. Gregory continues, voice dripping faux sympathy. Riley, we understand you've chosen a quieter path. Consulting is noble, but you must admit your impact on the family's financial strength has been minimal. He pauses. Lets the insult settle. Carter folds his arms across his chest, smirking. Minimal is being generous. I mean, are you even turning a profit, Riley? Or is this some kind of hobby you call a job? Savannah tosses her hair. Maybe she's saving up for something big, like a new paint job on that Ford Fusion. Laughter ripples around the table. I grip the edge of my portfolio so tightly the leather creaks. My pulse thunders in my ears. But I say nothing. Because the time to speak isn't now. Gregory clears his throat, returning to his slides. Moving on, the developers are eager for a decision on the Morgan estate. $58 million is an unprecedented offer. We can't let nostalgia cloud our judgment. He casts me a pointed look. Savannah leans forward eagerly. Imagine the branding potential. We could host influencer events in the penthouses. The Morgan name could be everywhere. Carter adds, think about the clients I could bring in. This is how we keep the Morgans on top. Gregory smiles approvingly. That's precisely the vision I'm talking about. The mansion has sentimental value, yes, but it's time to convert it into an asset that drives real returns. My skin crawls. Because to them, Grandma Eleanor's house is just a line on a spreadsheet. But to me, it's the only place where I ever felt safe. Then Gregory clicks to another slide, a high-res photo of the SOMA apartment building. Savannah sighs dramatically. Oh, let's discuss this nightmare. The lobby's been under construction for months, dust everywhere, and did you see those ugly modern fixtures they put in? Logan jumps in. And the rent increases. It's outrageous. Whoever owns that place clearly doesn't understand the importance of keeping Morgan tenants happy. My heart slams so hard I wonder if they can hear it. Because they're complaining about me. About renovations I ordered. About rent hikes I signed off on. Gregory leans closer, voice dropping to a conspiratorial tone. I've already spoken with people in the planning office. We have ways to pressure this mysterious owner into selling. Code inspections, permit delays. City politics can be very persuasive. Carter grins. Or we just buy them out. The Morgan name has weight. People fold when they see our checkbook. Savannah smirks. It would be fun, teaching whoever owns that place who really runs this city. A chill crawls down my spine. Because they're so casual, so entitled, as they discuss using raw power to crush someone. And they have no idea. It's me they're threatening. Brooke slides her hand under the table and squeezes mine. I can feel her trembling. She whispers, they're monsters sometimes, Riley. I'm so sorry. Gregory straightens back into full CEO mode. Let's keep our options open. But whoever owns that building should realize the Morgans always get what they want. He shuts off the projector, and with that dismisses the meeting. Everyone stands laughing and chatting as they drift out of the room. All except me. I stay seated, fingers white-knuckled on my portfolio. Because I know something they don't. Tomorrow, everything changes. A thin fog rolls over San Francisco the next morning, cloaking the city in silver. Inside the Morgan estate, the family has gathered once more in the Grand Library. The long table gleams under antique chandeliers, every chair occupied by someone who shares my DNA and who has spent most of my life underestimating me. Uncle Gregory stands at the head of the table looking like a king about to deliver royal decrees. He flips open his leather portfolio. Good morning, family, he says. Today, we finalize the sale of the Morgan estate. He glances around the table, lingering on me. Let's ensure this meeting is swift. The developers are eager to close. Savannah is already scribbling notes in a Louis Vuitton planner. I want to coordinate with interior designers for the condo lobbies. We'll make sure the Morgan residences feel exclusive, not just another tower. Logan adds, I've been in talks with a VC group who'd love to host retreats there. It's the perfect brand alignment. Carter smirks, swirling his coffee. Can't wait to see the influencer crowd fighting over those penthouses. I keep my hands folded in my lap. My mother's pearl earrings feel heavy against my neck like a secret I'm finally ready to speak. Gregory's assistant passes thick folders around the table. Inside, Gregory says you'll find the contracts. The allocation of proceeds is based on existing voting shares. He pauses, looking at me with that same thin smile. Riley, of course, your portion is proportionate. Carter can't help himself. Hey, any cash is good for her. Maybe she can finally upgrade from that Ford. A ripple of laughter circles the room. Even Logan chuckles. My pulse hammers, but my voice comes out even. I'd like to speak. Gregory sighs. Riley, we really don't have time. I cut him off. I said, I'd like to speak. Every head turns. Brooke's eyes go wide. Carter leans back, smirking. Sure, cousin, enlighten us. I rise from my chair. My legs feel steady, grounded. I reach into my black leather portfolio and pull out a crisp document. I slide it down the table until it stops in front of Gregory. Read it. He picks it up, brows furrowing. His lips move silently as he scans the page. Then his eyes widen. This can't be accurate. Savannah frowns. What is it? I turn so my voice fills the cavernous library. It's my financial statement. As of this week, my net worth is $82 million. The silence that follows is total, like the building itself is holding its breath. Carter bursts out laughing first. Bullshit. He jabs a finger at me. You don't have $82 million. You drive a piece of crap Ford. You rent an apartment. You've got nothing. Savannah looks horrified. Riley, is this some joke? Why would you lie about something so ridiculous? I let them talk over each other. Let the disbelief swirl like a storm. Then I drop my next bomb. The building in SOMA, the one you've been complaining about. I glance around the table. That's mine. Carter's face goes slack. Logan blinks rapidly. Savannah's hand flies to her mouth. I bought it 3 years ago, through a holding company. The renovations, my decision, the rent adjustments, my signature. I fix my eyes on Savannah. So when you complained about dust in the lobby, you were talking about my construction team. And your rent, Carter. You've been paying it to me. Gregory sputters. This is impossible. How did you finance this? How did you hide it? I smile faintly. While you all chased headlines and luxury, I built quietly. I bought properties others ignored. I kept my name off paperwork. And Grandma taught me how to move unseen. Logan shakes his head. So, all this time, we've been your tenants. Yes. Carter pounds the table. You manipulated us. You hid money from the family. I stare him down. I protected myself, because I knew exactly what would happen if you discovered what I'd built. Gregory slams his folder shut. Well, it doesn't matter. You might own some buildings, but you don't hold enough shares to block the mansion sale. The contracts are signed today. I tilt my head. Are you sure about that? Gregory freezes. I reach for the final document in my folder. This one is smaller than the others, but infinitely more powerful. I slide it forward until it's inches from Gregory's hands. It's called the Eleanor Morgan Trust, I say. This morning I transferred all my assets into it. And through a series of acquisitions over the past 2 years, the trust now owns 38% of the voting shares in Morgan Holdings. The room goes deadly quiet. Gregory's face turns an alarming shade of red. That's impossible. We'd have known. You never bothered to look, I cut in. You were too busy congratulating yourselves to notice shares changing hands quietly, one by one. Savannah whispers 38%. That's enough to block a sale. Yes. My voice echoes sharp as crystal. I'm blocking the sale of the Morgan estate, effective immediately. Gregory grips the table so hard his knuckles turn white. This is an ambush. I shake my head slowly. No, uncle. This is the consequence of never paying attention to the quiet person in the room. Brooke bursts into applause. One slow clap, then another. Her eyes shine with tears. Grandma Eleanor would be so damn proud of you, Riley. For a moment, nobody else moves. Carter stares at me like he's seeing a stranger. Savannah blinks rapidly, speechless. Logan opens his mouth, then closes it again. I breathe in deeply, feeling the weight finally slide off my chest. Because for the first time in years, I'm no longer hiding, and I look them all in the eye as I say it. The Morgan estate is not for sale. A stunned hush clings to the walls of the library like dust catching the morning light. My family sits frozen still, trying to process that the cousin they've mocked for years just flipped their empire upside down. But I'm not finished, because Grandma Eleanor didn't raise me to win for myself alone. She raised me to protect the things that matter, and the people who never get invited into rooms like this one. I lay one more document on the table. Aunt Camille squints at it, her diamond earrings sparkling under the chandeliers. What? Is that now, Riley? I look up, my voice clear. It's the charter for the Eleanor Morgan Foundation. Gregory's jaw tightens. A foundation? Yes. I fold my hands steady as bedrock. I'm converting the Morgan estate into the headquarters for the foundation. Instead of condos, it'll become a center for financial literacy programs, mentorship, and affordable housing initiatives. Savannah blinks rapidly. Affordable housing in this neighborhood. Her voice squeaks on the last word as though I've proposed setting fire to the Mona Lisa. Yes, I say, because Grandma didn't teach me to pile money into vaults. She taught me that wealth is meant to protect people. And right now there are kids growing up 5 miles from here who will never have a chance to build real security unless someone shows them how. Carter slams his palms on the table. This is insane. The mansion's worth nearly $60 million. You're throwing that away for charity handouts. I stare him down. I'm investing it. The returns might not show up on your balance sheets, but they'll show up in people's lives. Gregory takes a deep breath, trying to stay calm. Riley, think carefully. A foundation is a money drain, operating costs, legal risks. That property is an asset we could leverage for enormous profit. I step closer to him, dropping my voice low. And how many condos in this city are sitting empty right now because no one can afford them? The market's saturated. But knowledge, opportunity, those never go out of demand. I glance around the table, meeting every pair of eyes. This family talks about legacy like it's a brand logo. But a real legacy is what happens when you're gone. It's what you build for people who'll never even know your name. Savannah lets out a shaky laugh. And how exactly does this affect the rest of us? I pick up the final piece of my plan. A single sheet of crisp paper. This, I say, holding it up is how. Brooke leans forward, eyes shining. Oh my God, what did you do now? I inhale. My new voting shares give me the power to change the bylaws of Morgan Holdings. Effective immediately. Voting power will be tied to contributions into the Eleanor Morgan Foundation. Carter's mouth falls open. You're blackmailing us. I lift an eyebrow. I'm giving you a choice. You can keep your full voting shares. If you're willing to put a portion of your profits, your time, or both into projects that help this city. If you'd rather keep your money and do nothing, your voting shares will decrease proportionally. Gregory's face darkens. That's not how this family has ever operated. Exactly, I say. And look where that's gotten us, a room full of people who think power is measured by whose penthouse has the best view. Savannah crosses her arms, voice tight. So I'd have to donate part of my gallery's profits just to keep my votes. Yes. I nod firmly. Or put in real hours teaching financial literacy. Or help manage affordable housing projects. You choose how you contribute. But if you don't, your influence over family decisions shrinks. Logan finally finds his voice. So basically, you're turning the Morgan family into a social enterprise. I look him in the eyes. I'm turning it back into what Grandma wanted it to be. A force for good. For a long beat, no one speaks. Then Brooke rises, slowly pressing her hands to the table. I'm in, she says. I'm sick of pretending that Instagram followers equal success. Grandma would love this, Riley. Savannah exhales shakily. Logan just stares, the wheels turning behind his eyes. Carter slumps back into his chair, shaking his head, furious and silent. Gregory opens his mouth, then closes it. Because he knows. The tide has turned. I straighten my shoulders. This mansion stays standing, not as a monument to wealth, but as a promise that the Morgans stand for something bigger than ourselves. And for the first time all week, I see respect in their eyes. The sun breaks through the fog as I step out into Grandma Eleanor's rose garden. The petals shimmer with dew red and coral and creamy white, each one trembling gently in the breeze. For a moment I just stand there, letting the cool air wash over me, breathing in the scent of earth and blossoms. Behind me, the echoes of the family's arguments still rumble faintly through the mansion's halls. But out here, there's quiet. Out here, I can finally let go of the last fragments of the girl I used to be, the one who stood silent in this garden, believing her voice didn't matter. I think of Grandma Eleanor. Of the nights we sat right here hunched over ledgers, her fingers smudged with ink. Of the way she'd brush soil off her palms and say, "True wealth is invisible, Riley. It's the safety you build for others. The peace you keep for yourself." For years I lived by those words. I stayed small. I let them underestimate me, because I thought blending into the background was safer. But there comes a day when silence becomes its own kind of cage. And I finally decided I'd rather risk everything than spend my whole life hiding. Now the truth is out. My family knows who I am. Some of them respect me for it. Others might never forgive me. And that's okay, because I didn't do this for them. I did it to honor the woman who believed in me when I couldn't even breathe through my own grief. I did it to protect the mansion that sheltered me when I thought I had nowhere left to go. I did it for the kid out there right now, sitting alone in a bedroom lit by the glow of a second-hand laptop, who dreams of something bigger but doesn't know how to start. So if you're listening to this, if you've ever felt underestimated, invisible, or small, hear me when I say, you're not small. You're just quiet. And quiet doesn't mean powerless. Lesson 1. Wealth is a tool, not a trophy. Showy fortunes fade. But the kind that buys freedom, safety, and choices, that's the wealth worth building. Lesson 2. Don't rush the reveal. Patience is a superpower. Sometimes the most devastating move is waiting until the exact right moment to speak your truth. Lesson 3. Never assume that the person who doesn't brag has nothing to brag about. The quietest person in the room might be the one who owns the room. I run my fingers over the velvety petals of a white rose. Somewhere deep inside me, I feel Grandma Eleanor's presence like a warm hand on my shoulder. The mansion will stand, not as a monument to wealth, but as a promise that the Morgans are more than marble columns and bank balances. We are builders of homes, of futures, of hope. I smile, lifting my face toward the sunlight breaking through the clouds, because I know now Sometimes the most powerful move isn't shouting your victories from the rooftops. It's standing your ground quietly, until the whole world finally has no choice but to listen.